outside of class, I very early on got involved, in really trying to continue my path in graphic design. And so right off the bat, freshman year, fall semester, I saw that there was an opening for a internship with BU Athletics as a graphic designer. So I hopped on that immediately, and this would be my first opportunity to really do graphic design for a sports organization. And that was something I saw myself doing, in the future. So I think it was important to try and get that experience early on to see what it was really like to be a part of that, to be a part of a team, and all that goes into it. And so I'm very thankful to my boss at that time, Wande, for accepting me into the position and really helping me grow as a designer through the internship. I still remember the interview and everything. I pulled up with my laptop and showed off my little portfolio of graphics. I've definitely improved on my sports graphics since this time, but I remember being very nervous at the interview, and everything, but Wande was super cool. She made me feel comfortable and everything. And I think as much as an internship is kind of viewed as an entry-level job, it really is a lot about actually learning and really soaking up as much as you can about the industry that you're trying to explore. And so with the sports design industry, especially relating to social media graphics for teams, it's very heavily Photoshop based, but I was coming much more from an Illustrator background. And so to be honest, I was not really very good in Photoshop. And I remember one of the concepts that I really struggled to understand for whatever reason, that is literally so essential to any Photoshop thing at all, is masking. Anyone that is familiar with Adobe and knows what masking is, they're probably going to be well, how did you not understand what masking is? And obviously because it's so important. But at the time I really didn't understand what masking. I was I just don't understand how this works, how I just didn't understand how it worked, to be honest. But then I remember Wande took me through one lesson very early on about making graphics, and she was showing me the masking. And then when she explained it, I just remember everything just cleared out for me, and I was wow, that's all it is. That's all it is. And so even something as little as simple as that, the masking, knowing how to mask properly, obviously a key part of using Photoshop, being able to grasp that concept and then being able to apply it to any number of design projects that she had me do. And outside of being taught new skills in Photoshop and just getting a greater handle on the technical side of things of working in sports, I think the other major component was just having that experience of being in the office, because graphic design is something you can do remotely, work from anywhere. And so I lived my dorm freshman year was literally right around the corner from the BU Athletics office, so it was a 2-minute walk from my room to the office every morning, which was nice. So it was great to just kind of be in that office environment, see what it's like to be amongst other members of the same team, trying to produce high quality graphics that will draw people into the program. And so I definitely want to give a shout out to Nafisa, who was the assistant director of marketing. She always showed love as well, in the office, made me feel very comfortable and welcome in that space, which I think is, always important. Something that's always important to consider with, whatever work you're doing, the environment that you're in, the people you're around, because that can really make or break your experience, or even, your willingness to do work if you're in a toxic environment or anything like that. But the BU Athletics office, at least while I was there, it was all good vibes, good energy. And, it was great up until COVID kind of took me out of that, out of that spot. But, the next internship that I ended up doing my freshman year, I ended up doing it simultaneously with BU Athletics, was with BU Hillel, which is the primary Jewish organization on BU campus. And so for them, I was primarily just making flyers and graphics for social media. And I feel the biggest thing that I learned from working with Hillel was really understanding how to operate within a brand guideline but also figuring out how to be like kind of as creative as possible within strict brand guidelines. Because I mean, BU Athletics, like obviously they had brand guidelines as well, but they definitely weren't as like, they were definitely more flexible. For BU Hillel, like the main, purpose or primary purpose of all of the work that I was doing with them, doing for them was to communicate about, events coming up or like basic information about initiatives that Hillel was running. So because of that, like the typography and like hierarchy of text and things like that was at the forefront of the designs. And then so, having that as the base, I had to kind of figure out like, okay, like how can I make this like a little bit more interesting, in terms of including illustration and things like that, because we really weren't allowed to like manipulate the text. And then another thing that I kind of got out of the experience working with Hillel, which I ended up working for Hillel up until through my junior year. So senior year was like the only year that I didn't work with them. So yeah, I was doing these two internships, the BU Athletics and BU Hillel my freshman year going into the summer. And so as we all know, summer 2020 was when we were kind of in the heat of the pandemic. And so, being stuck at home and everything, I was kind of looking to add some more work into the mix. And so I ended up seeing that there was an opening at Harvard football for a design intern. And so the way that I found out is that there was a upperclassman in graphic design, Morgan. So shout out to Morgan. She actually was like my orientation leader. So I think either in 2019 or 2018, she had an internship with Harvard football. And so I think she had posted on her story like, hey, if anyone's interested in, this position, they're looking to hire an intern. And then so I reached out to her and I was like, hey, yeah, I would 100% be interested if you could, get me in contact with whoever, is kind of leading that process. And then, so yeah, she got me in contact with Coach John. Ended up doing an interview with him and, went well and everything. And then he was like, yeah, I mean, we got this position here for you if you want to take it. And of course, I mean, like, BU does not have a football team. They don't have a football program, period. So, being football being my favorite sport, I was very much inclined to accept the position. And yeah, so I ended up, having this internship with Harvard football summer of 2020. So the summer before sophomore year. And so that brings me to lesson 7, which is shoot your shot at your network, or simply don't be shy to reach out to anyone in your network, because you never know what any conversation or opportunity could lead to. So I ended up doing that internship with Harvard football over a couple of months in the summer. I mainly was just designing like recruitment graphics. I really improved in my Photoshop abilities during that whole internship. And then I ended up taking on another job. At the time that I was, I had the Harvard internship, I was still doing stuff for BU Hillel, but then at that time I stopped the internship for BU Athletics. So I had 3 things, 3 jobs rather than, having 4, because I mean, having 4 is kind of over the top, even for, during a time where I was at home and, we weren't COVID and weren't able to go out and everything. But yeah, the other job that I ended up adding that summer was being a campus manager with Fresh Prints, which is a custom apparel company. And so basically what the campus manager does is manage apparel or merch orders for different clubs and organizations on campus. And I think now, as someone that is literally running my own clothing brand with a friend, like so much of the stuff that I learned from being a campus manager for Fresh Prince is directly translated to what I'm doing now, which obviously, they're, both positions are in the fashion and apparel industry. So there's that aspect of things. I definitely got to enrich my knowledge on, things relating specifically to apparel, like different printing types, different garment types, all that good stuff. But I think the more important things were, getting an idea of how to run a business, and kind of like the structure and all that goes into it, from figuring out the design, the garment type, the pricing, placing, the actual, the order for the client. And so through that back and forth communication with the client, obviously growing in communication skills, through reaching out, trying to find clients, networking skills, getting sales skills from obviously actually like closing the orders and, figuring out, how to actually get from that point of, getting someone interested to them wanting to place an order with you. And then there's a little bit of marketing involved as well, having to pitch different ideas to clients, get them on board, even learning how to like market yourself to someone, because obviously like, the people I was working with while I was a campus manager they could order merch from anywhere or from anyone. So, how do I, pitch myself or, and Fresh Prince in a way that makes them want to work with me and, the company I represent. So I think those were, some of the major things I learned. And then I think maybe one of the most crucial things was how to build that client relationships and maintain it, because that is so directly applicable to entrepreneurship. It's the thing that's going to be able to help you grow and grow, is building that trust with clients and keeping them on board, as you scale and build up. But yeah, that was the summer of 2020, having that internship experience with Harvard football, continuing with BU Hillel, and then starting out my journey with Fresh Prince.